I hope this is what I'm supposed to be looking at. I'm just going to look at the timer. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Yvette. You are joining me in Bible chat with Dr. Yvette. It is January 2021. As you know, you couldn't even see my face in the last one. And I didn't know it. Well, I think I did. Anyway, it was after a lot of time of troubleshooting and I could not figure it out. And then it cut me off in the middle of recording at verse 16, chapter 31 of Genesis. So we're going to go back to Genesis 31. We're going to start at verse 15 and then move from there. So let me just briefly summarize. Jacob is about, he has totally outgrown Laban, his father-in-law. His two wives are about to take off and go with him after he shares with them, your father has started to kind of feel a certain kind of way towards me, and his sons also. So I think it's best for me to just leave. So in verse 15, the daughters speak up. Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's now. Then whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do it. And that's where we were cut off. Verse 17, then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. In other words, he didn't tell Laban anything. Laban had to find out for himself. Well, when you look up, you'll discover that we're not here anymore. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. So Jacob had a 3-day head start. I guess I just gave it away that Laban will pursue him. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And they overtook him in the Mount of Gilead. So he finally caught up with him, but it took him a week. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said unto him, take heed that you speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. Be careful now. That's what he was saying. Take heed. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, what hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? He said, you took them like you were taken a captive by sword. Or, by sword. 27, wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me? Why did you do it? Wherefore didst thou? Why did you do it? And didst not tell me that I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs, with tabret and with harp? I would have had a party for you. And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters. You didn't give me a chance to say goodbye. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, the reason that I left, this is what his response is to the question of why did you sneak away like that and not tell me? And he says, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me, because I already seen your track record. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods. Now he's speaking to the second issue. The second issue is Laban said, why'd you take my gods? Why'd you take the things that I worship, these little trinkets, these little statues? Why'd you take those? And so Jacob is now answering that question. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. He said, you can search, and whoever you find them with, kill them. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. He didn't know. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. She said, I would rise out of respect for you, father, but I'm in the monthly way, my cycle, you know. I'm on my period. So I cannot rise. She was sitting on the images. Anyway, verse 36. And Jacob was wroth. Now he's really upset because this man accused him of being a thief, and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it there before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. He said, when the beast came and took some of the flock, I didn't bring the remains to you and say, these were yours. And they kind of, that's your bunch. He bore the loss. And that's what he was telling him. It's probably something he hadn't shared before now. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day that drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. I was exhausted. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle. And thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hadst sent me away now empty. He said, if it hadn't been for the fact that God was with me, the God of my fathers, you would have sent me away empty this time. You're talking about a party, a celebration, gifts. Your track record does not speak so. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. 43. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and you, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galeed. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watched between me and thee when we are absent one from another. That's verse 49. 50. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters and blessed them. And Laban departed and returned unto his place. Chapter 32. Only me. I know it's just me. Chapter 32. Jacob wrestles with an angel. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, Thus shall ye speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob said thus, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and asses, flocks, and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. And the flocks and herds and the camels into 2 bands. I'm sorry, I skipped something. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed when he found out that his brother was headed that way with 400 men with him. Verse 7. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds, and the camels into 2 bands. So this is what Jacob did when he found out his brother was headed his way. Of course, he's thinking there's going to be something bad. He's probably going to attack us, kill us, because they left on bad terms. They left on sour terms. Verse 8, and said, If Esau come to the one company and smite it because he split them, then the other company which is left shall escape. And Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. He reminded God of what he said. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. And thou sayest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. And he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats, and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 40 kine, and 10 bulls, 20 she-asses, and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. That's what they need to tell him when they get to Esau. And so commanded he the second and the third, and all that followed the droves, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when you find him. So he sent groups, sections ahead of him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face, peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, this is the angel talking, Let me go. I shouldn't say it like that. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. I'm not going to let you go unless you bless me. The angel's like, day is breaking. I have to go. I have another assignment. I can't stay here wrestling with you. We've been wrestling all night, your strong self. And he said, I'm going to repeat it. Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go except thou bless me. I'll let you go if you bless me. And he said unto him, What is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. Let that sink in. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. You have power with God. You have power with men. And you have prevailed. Okay, and Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, your name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. Let's go with Peniel. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Ooh. And as he passed over Peniel, verse 30 spells it Peniel. That's the place he called it. And then he passed over Penuel. The sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. He got ready to take a step, and he went, oh, whoa now. Whoa, that's where that angel touched the thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank. Ooh, he had to weaken him. He had to weaken him somehow for him to let him go. He had to go. Our angels have things to do, y'all. Chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. So, get a visual. He put the handmaids and their children up front. I don't know what happened to the men I sent. But, okay, I'm going to put these, y'all go on up ahead. And then Leah, because you know I wanted your sister. And your daddy gave you to me first, because you're the oldest. But I'm going to put you first after the handmaids, and then your children, and then Rachel, the one that I love, and then the son that she gave me, Joseph. They're going to be in the back. They're in the back. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. They're twins. You know, that connection was lost. It was just lost. That tussling in the womb. These are the two. All that cutting up and carrying on in the womb. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, "Who are those with thee?" And he said, "The children which God hath graciously given thy servant." Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. So I want to just make sure I'm clear and that what I said was clear. When he lined them up in that order with the handmaid and the baby and then Leah and the children and then Rachel and the children, he lined them up in that order, put Joseph and Rachel in the far rear, and then he went ahead of that line of his wives, his baby mamas, his children. All right. And he said, "What meanest thou by all this drove which I met?" What was all of that I met earlier? What was all of that about? And he said, "These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord." Verse 9, and Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself." And Jacob said, "Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand, for therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, "Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee." And he said unto him, "My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord unto Seir." And Esau said, "Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me." And he said, "What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him an house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. Verse 18, and Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent, at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it El Elohi Israel. Chapter 34. When God changes your name, that's something special. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her, and lay with her, and defiled her. So the word you'll see in here, instead of rape, is defiled. Okay, took her, lay with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah. This is an interesting piece. His soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. What I've been reflecting on is the different events that are similar throughout the Bible, and what I recently reflecting on how the fathers have reacted to these events that occur. So again, and Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. So this information spread fast. This news made it into the field. And the brothers found out about it. And when they did, they were grieved. And they were very wroth, very angry, very upset. Because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. What else do you need? It's a thing that ought not to be done. Verse 8, and Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her him to wife. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell, and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. So let me just read it in another way so that you understand the flow. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And the sons of Jacob said, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this will we consent unto you, if you will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters unto you. And we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. Verse 19, and the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter. And he was more honorable than all the house of his father. I want you to think about that for a minute. He took her, he lay with her, he defiled her, fell in love with her, asked for her hand in marriage, and he is the most honorable of all the house of his father. I tried to imagine what in the world, how would you describe the rest of them? What are they up to? Verse 20, and Hamor and Shechem his son came unto the gate of their city and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein, for the land, behold, is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. Now, before we read verse 25, all the men were circumcised. They are definitely lying on their backs in the process of healing the most delicate area of their bodies, because they've been cut. They've been cut. They've been cut and peeled. Okay? So verse 25. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, put that in your notes, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword. So Simeon took his sword, Levi took his sword on day 3, while all these men are laying on their backs sore, and came unto the city boldly and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor, daddy, and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. "27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I, being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? Chapter 35. And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. So, real quick, I just want to say, God is paying attention. We don't see anywhere where Jacob said, Lord, what do I do next? Do I stay here? Where do I go? And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel. Verse 2, Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. God didn't tell him to say that. Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean. You too. Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. Put away the strange gods. Be clean, change your garments. And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem, even their earrings. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So sometimes the enemy might want to, at first, might be contemplating it. You may not have to say a thing, do a thing, and all of a sudden, it's quiet. Why is it so quiet? They're not even looking at me. The terror of God was upon the cities. Okay. Verse 6, So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar and called the place El Bethel, because there God appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother. But Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Alan Bakuth. And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padan Aram and blessed him. He appeared. And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. Kings shall come out of thy loins. Somebody else was blessed with princes. Jacob will be blessed with kings. And the land which I gave Abraham, I gotta move faster. Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land. Land. I will give the real estate. I will give the property. I will give the land. Real estate. And God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone. And he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon, a drink offering. Not for my homies, a drink offering. You see, this stuff was happening a long, long time ago before we were born. And he poured oil thereon. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spake with him Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, thou shalt have this son also. So all that walking, all that traveling they were doing, she was with child. You mamas out there, at 9 months, how much walking did you want to do? And it came to pass as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni. I think I've heard some pastors pronounce it Ben-Oni. But his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died and was buried in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave. That is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the tower of Edar. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine. Really, Reuben? And Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Make a note of that. Make a note of that. The sons of Leah, because remember, when these fathers are about to depart from the earth, they have last words for their kids. And those last words are supposed to be words of blessing. But they don't forget. Noah didn't forget. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Padan Aram. If you want to take notes, go ahead and pause it and jot that down, so you can see. I think this is the second time we've seen it, where we see the moms and then the sons. We know they're all Jacob's boys. And Jacob came unto Isaac his father unto Mamre, unto the city of Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac sojourned. And the days of Isaac were 180 years, and Isaac gave up the ghost. and died, and was gathered unto his people, being old and full of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Chapter 36. I decided I wasn't going to read chapter 36. It's the generations of Esau. But if you want to pause it and just read through that, I would invite you to. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. And Adah bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Ruel. And Aholibamah bare Jush, and Jalem, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. He and his brother wound up parting ways because they both had so much abundance. Isn't that what God promised? They're not going to elevate the same, but their daddy was able to squeeze something out for Esau. All right, let me read the last verse in 36, verse 43. Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. Look at all these dukes. Yeah, you might want to pause it and read it. Duke Iram, these be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. And they are dukes, not princes, not kings, but they have some title. They have some authority, some position of leadership. Chapter 37. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock. 17 years old. High school. Feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel, somebody, they criticized him and say he was out there watching them, and then he went back and tattled on them. And now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. It was red and yellow and gold and blue and green and purple and scarlet. And there's a song called The Coat of Many Colors. I had to sing it in high school. Chorus. Where am I? Verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. If you just real quick, if you have a sibling, and you feel that a parent or both parents love that sibling more than they love you, it's understandable that you might feel a certain kind of way about that, but to then turn that into hate toward the sibling. We see Cain and Abel. We're going to also see what happens here. Pray for another way to deal with it. Leah still got love. She didn't get the Rachel love, but she still got love. Verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us, little baby? You are a sophomore in high school. And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brothers envied him, but his father observed the same. Now, his initial reaction was to say what he said, but he had to think a minute, pause a minute, contemplate a little bit. Verse 12, And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So the very first time that we see this, it's clear to me that this is something his father does. Go and check on them, see what's going on with them. Come on now. You got all these young males who are supposed to be just doing what daddy sent them to do. They're all just so serious and so focused and so obedient. No mischief. Come on. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to kill him. It says to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. My Lord. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. So he figured I could just get them to kind of calm down a little bit, throw him in this pit. That'll satisfy their desire to take his life. And then I can deliver him to daddy, down the line. And it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. Let me read it like it is in here. Stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Otherwise he would have drowned. Honey bunches. Um, 25. And they sat down to eat bread. Pardon me for pausing and doing what I just did. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh. They dumped that boy in a pit and had lunch. That's some 48 hours type, snap type, special victims unit type stuff going on right there. That's some Criminal Minds. They had their camels, spicery, balm, myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him. For he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. He's our brother and our flesh. Let's not kill him. Let's just sell him so Daddy will never see him again. And we don't have to worry about any more dreams. Because he's our brother. Then there passed by Midianites. Wait. And his brethren were content. So they were satisfied with that plan because that's their brother. Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit. And behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes, because Reuben wasn't part of this sell him plan. And he returned unto his brethren and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood, and they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. And evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. His name is Potiphar. Write it down.
Can you hear these things if I talk into them?
Chapter 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. So some time is going by, and he's going on with his life, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. So this wicked brother was slain by God himself because he was so wicked. Judah then says to his brother, Since your brother is dead, but he has this wife, I need you to do something. Go in unto his wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. You got to give your brother children. I wonder if we can refill with air. 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground. What do they call that? Rhythm method. Anyway, when it was time for him to sow his seed, he decided to leak his seed and water the grass, lest that he should give seed to his brother. He just wasn't going to do it. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord. Nobody else knew about it, but it displeased the Lord that he wasted seed like that and that he disobeyed his father. It could be a whole bunch of reasons, but the whole scenario displeased the Lord. This is what you were commanded to do. And you went in, you did the whole 9. You married her, you went in there, you pulled up her little garment, you pulled down your little garment, and then you went through the whole motion just to, I'm not giving that man no kids through me. To please the Lord. Wherefore he slew him also. Judah and his boys. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house. I want you to follow this. Follow this storyline right here. If you need to take notes and pause it here and there, do it. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house and waited for that little boy to become a grown man so that Judah could give him over to her to be her husband. So she waited. She remained a widow. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. And for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. Happy New Year. Okay, he's 7. Well, probably not 7. Happy New Year, he's 12. Happy New Year, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19. Got a little mustache. 20. Oh, he's 6 feet now. 21. I'm still a widow. Judah's wife has passed away. Enough time has gone by. Okay. All right. He's going in his house, you said? Okay. So she put off those widow's clothes, wrapped herself, covered herself up in a veil, and went out to meet him. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot. She had on the garment and the covering, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? Because, I'm a harlot and everything. You got to pay me something. What you going to pay me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, the signet, the bracelets, the staff in his hand, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her. and put on the garments of her widowhood. So her mission accomplished. She went back and put on the widow garments. All is well, it ends well. She's chilling. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adulamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. So he sent the kid, the little animal, which was what he promised. And in return, she was supposed to send back the bracelet, the signet, and the staff. But the Adulamite couldn't find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, "Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside?" And they said, "There was no harlot in this place." We would have known the answer that part. And he returned to Judah and said, "I cannot find her." And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, "Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her." He said, "We're not going to keep pursuing that because that'd be embarrassing." And it came to pass after 3 months that it was told Judah, saying, "Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot. She been whoring around. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom." She been out there doing the thing. And Judah said, "Bring her to me, and let her be burned." We're going to burn her alive. And when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, "By the man whose these are, am I with child? Here, here, here. Take all of this, whoever belongs to, he's the father. Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet and bracelets and staff?" And Judah acknowledged them and said, "She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son." And he knew her again no more. He didn't sleep with her any more after that. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." And it came to pass as he drew back his hand that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, "How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee." Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Chapter 39 is Joseph resisting temptation. Chapter 38 was Judah yielding to temptation. And then you've got the other brother resisting temptation. Now, we haven't seen Joseph. Last we heard from Joseph, he was in shackles and being taken to Egypt for some silver. So it's after my hour. I'm going to speed through 39 and 40. And then we'll stop. I'm so sorry. I'd never dreamed. I knew it was going to be a long book, but I never dreamed it would be 2021, and I'm still in Genesis. All right. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph. So important and so powerful. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of the master of the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him. And he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. You can be in a place where nobody serves the Lord but you, and they're going to be blessed because of you. You hear preachers say it all the time. All right. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So if this man had $1 million in investments and in the bank and all of that, and treasure and certain items in his safe, all he knew about was the bread he was eating. That's how much he trusted Joseph. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, "Do me, baby." She said, "Lie with me." But he refused. And he said unto his master's wife, "Now look, my master wardeth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. He trusts me. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Oh, come on, man. If you ever need a way out, if you ever need a way to say no to a woman that you know you have no business with, these are your lines right here. Verse 10, and it came to pass as she spake to Joseph by day, she was persistent. She was the H word. That he hearkened not unto her. She was fiending to lie by her or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment. She said, "I'm going to take what I want. You're not going to keep telling me no. Now, every day that you tell me no, you become more and more enticing. You become more and more desirable. And I am not." You know what? It's on today. Saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out. Another thing, men. She offered. No. He ran. He took off. He got him out of there. He fled. You don't flee by walking slow. He fled. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, "See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me. He came in unto me to lie with me." And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, "The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph. And showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. Just like Potiphar, the guard said, I'm not even going to check on Joseph. I'm not even going to check behind. I'm not going to micromanage, because it's Joseph. And it seems like whatever he touches turns to gold. Chapter 40. It's probably why Potiphar's wife wanted to touch. No, you can just stay copper. Stay copper. You really just saran wrap is what you are. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against 2 of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. And they continued a season in ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. Now I want you to notice what Joseph said. He didn't say, I can interpret dreams. Tell me about it. He said, do not interpretations belong to God? Just giving him credit. Give him credit where credit is due. Give him glory where glory is due. Acknowledging where acknowledgement is due. Tell me them, I pray you. Tell me them, I pray you. I got a wayward lock. You just go on down here then. Just sit still. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. And I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee into thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou wast his butler. He said, the way things used to be are about to be again. You're about to be restored to your position. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness. Joseph said, but when you get restored to that position, please remember me. Please think about me. I pray thee unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. I'm innocent. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup unto Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. We'll stop there. I hope you all are getting something. I don't want to say, I hope you're getting something out of this. I want to say, I hope that you're being blessed by this. I hope that you're feeling nourished by the word of God. I hope that your soul is being fed. I hope that your spirit is being lifted. I hope that you're finding reasons to laugh and to ponder and to think and be grateful and thank God and consider the ways that these things relate to your life and how you can be closer to him and reap the rewards of the blessings that he has in store, that he has promised, and that he desires to give to us, if only we obey and stay beneath his covering. God bless you. Stay prayerful. Continue to munch on the word of God, digest it, regurgitate it, chew on it. Until next time, thank you for being here. Subscribe, like, share, And I'll see you next time.